Yuri and another woman assist Mio in putting on a new kimono that Kyoka has chosen for her. Mio is grateful for Kyoka's kind gesture and loves that the kimono reminds her of her mother's cherry blossom kimono. Meanwhile, Mr. Tatsuishi discusses Mio and Kyoka with Kaya. He shows Kaya a photo of Mio and Kyoka together and informs her that Mio is doing exceptionally well with him. Mr. Tatsuishi reveals his original plan for Mio to marry Kazushi, which irritates Kaya. She tells her father that she intends to visit her father, Shinichi, to make a request. Later, Yoshio and Kyoka head to Kyoka's home for dinner with Kyoka and Mio. When they arrive, Kyoka is taken aback by Mio's stunning appearance. Yashiro feels a bit left out, but Mio insists that he stays. Meanwhile, Kaya seems to be using the Shikigami to spy on Mio and the others. She's jealous that Mio appears happier than she is. Yashiro enjoys the meal that Mio has prepared and praises her cooking skills. Mio returns to the room and thanks Yoshio for helping her reunite with Hana, even if his role was small. Yashio expresses his gratitude for Mio's respect and playfully suggests that she should marry him instead of Kyoka. Yashio leaves and Mio thanks Kyoka for the evening. Meanwhile, Kaya is upset with her father's response, feeling that she's a better match for Kyoka. As Mio sleeps, she has a strange dream and Kyoka senses that something is wrong. He visits Mio's room and finds her lying on the ground. Kyoka asks her what's troubling her, wakes her up from her nightmare and reassures her that she should never feel alone and should always inform him if something is wrong. The following day, Koji notices some men getting into a vehicle, recalling Kaya's words from the previous night. Kaya informs him that she spoke with his father and that he's willing to assist Kaya and Koji with their dilemma regarding Mio. Koji becomes concerned about what Kaya and his father plan to do to Mio. Mio prepares a meal for Kyoka and plans to deliver it to him with Yuri. Before they leave, Yuri gives Mio a pouch that Kyoka had someone make for her and tells her that Kyoka will be thrilled to see her with it. Koji visits his father's office and notices Kaya there. Kaya claims she's there to discuss financial matters with her sister. Koji says it won't happen because Shinichi has refused. However, Kaya hints at the possibility that Mio might agree to it. Koji questions his father about their plans. Mr. Tatsuishi says that Koji will understand everything soon and asks him to trust him. Mio and Yuri head to the special anti-grotesquerie unit HQ to meet and deliver the meal to Kyoka. Kyoka thanks Mio for her thoughtfulness and asks her about the amulet he gave her. Mio realizes she left the amulet at home and worries because she promised Kyoka she'd always have it with her. They start heading home but are suddenly ambushed by the two men Koji spotted earlier. These men grab Mio, place her in their vehicle, and drive away. At the same time, Koji confronts his father and Kaya, demanding to know their plans. Kaya reveals that they intend to have Mio withdraw from the marriage arrangements with the head of the Kudo family. She departs, leaving Mr. Tatsuishi to explain that they must secure Mio for the sake of their lineage. Koji is furious because he realizes that his father knew about Mio's abuse all along but didn't help her because it was for his benefit. Mr. Tatsuishi overpowers Koji and tells him to wait until everything is settled. Thankfully, Kazushi intervenes, freeing Koji and encouraging him to save Mio. Yuri informs Kyoka about what happened to Mio and apologizes for being the reason she didn't have the amulet with her. Koji rushes to the special anti-grotesquerie unit HQ, where he asks Kyoka to help him rescue Mio. Mio calls for help when she realizes her situation. Meanwhile, Koji and Kyoka are on their way to the Seimori residence to rescue Mio. Inside the house, Kanoko orders Mio to reject Kyoka's marriage proposal, but Kaya threatens to ruin Mio's kimono if she doesn't accept Kanoko's terms. Kaya plans to marry Kyoka instead and promises to return Koji to Mio. Despite Kaya cutting a piece of Mio's kimono and the threats, Mio refuses to give up her desire to marry Kyoka. Kanoko slaps Mio, and Kaya cuts the rope, causing Mio to fall to the ground. Kaya criticizes Mio, calling her worthless and an embarrassment to the Seimori family. However, Mio stands her ground and asserts that she will become Kyoka's wife, whether Kanoko and Kaya like it or not. Meanwhile, Koji and Kyoka arrive at the scene. Kyoka uses his powers to enter the house and demands that Shinichi tells him where Mio is. Mr. Tatsuishi informs Kyoka that Mio won't be returning to his household, but he refuses to reveal her location. Kyoka is determined to use force to get the information he needs and begins fighting Shinichi and Mr. Tatsuishi. Kanoko grows worried and urges Mio to reject Kyoka's offer once more, but Mio remains steadfast. Koji informs Kyoka that Mio is likely in the storehouse, and they head in that direction. Mr. Tatsuishi attempts to stop Kyoka again, but Kyoka knocks him out with a lightning attack. As Kaya continues to pressure Mio to reject the marriage proposal, Mio reflects on her life with her family and Kyoka. Kyoka comes to Mio's rescue as she falls unconscious from the abuse inflicted by Kaya and Kanoko. Outside, Kanoko notices the aftermath of Kyoka's battle with Mr. Tatsuishi and Shinichi. Kyoka confronts Kaya about her intentions in hurting Mio. Kaya expresses her jealousy and claims that she should have been the one set up with Kyoka, boasting about her superiority over Mio. Kyoka tells her to stop talking. Kyoka carries Mio in his arms as Koji urges Kaya to leave the area with him to avoid any harm. He doesn't want Kaya's actions to burden Mio further. In a dream, Mio sees her mother, Suman, who apologizes for the difficult life Mio has endured and encourages her to believe in her inner strength. The scene shifts to a man who is furious with Mr. Tatsuishi's failure, and another person seeks permission to execute a new plan to further their goals. Mio awakens in Kyoka's home, where Kyoka and Yuri are relieved to see her safe and sound. Kyoka expresses happiness that Mio is okay. Mio asks Kyoka to take her to the Saimori house despite learning that it had burned down. Kyoka agrees, and they both go to the Saimori house. Kyoka explains to Mio that Shinichi and Kanoko have let most of the servants go and are moving to their countryside villa. He mentions that the Tatsuishi family's involvement hasn't been made public yet. Kazushi will take responsibility as the head of the Tatsuishi family, and they will be under the command of the Kudo family. Kaya, on the other hand, will become a servant for another family. Kyoka takes Mio to her mother's cherry tree. When Mio touches the tree, it withers away. Kyoka feels guilty about this, but Mio reassures him that what he did was necessary. Kyoka tells Mio that he plans to start the procedures for their engagement ceremony and mentions that they may have to meet his father soon. While they are talking, they bump into Koji, who asks Mio if he can speak to her privately. Koji tells Mio that he plans to leave town to become stronger. Although he's a bit disappointed that Mio doesn't remember his words from the previous conversation, he promises to meet her again in the future. Mio explains how she will officially become Kyoka's fiancée without going through the usual formalities. Later, Mio meets Kyoka's older sister, Hazuki. In a flashback, Mio expresses her desire to redo lessons to become a lady and find a suitable teacher. Kyoka tells her that he'll arrange for someone to help her. In the present, Mio interacts with Hazuki, who is a bit upset that Kyoka didn't tell Mio much about her. However, Hazuki is determined to help Mio learn how to become a proper lady. After discussing flowers with Mio, Hazuki and Mio go to a private room to begin their lessons. Unbeknownst to them, Kyoka is reading a book outside their room, secretly listening to their conversation. Hazuki shares her experiences as a lady with Mio, mentioning her graduation from an all-girls school and her unsuccessful marriage in the past. She suggests that Mio should establish a tentative goal to drive herself to improve. Hazuki informs Mio about an upcoming party in 2 months and encourages her to aim for that as a milestone. Hazuki leaves their home with plans to create a timetable for Mio's lessons. During the night, Kyoka senses supernatural phenomena and checks on Mio, thinking she's having a nightmare. Meanwhile, we catch a glimpse of men trying to form a barrier, and some mythical entities disrupting their plans. In the morning, Kyoka meets with General Akaido, who informs him that Takahito had a revelation and plans to report on the Tatsuishi family. However, he needs Kyoka to accompany him to the meeting with Takahito. Akaido also mentions a tomb break-in that occurred the previous night, resulting in a grave being opened. The mysterious gentleman from the previous planning to retrieve Mio from Kyoka. Kyoka discusses the history of the grave, explaining that it's a place where people with supernatural abilities are buried. It's also where spirits that turn into grotesqueries due to negative emotions are sealed off forever. He expresses concern that if the rumors about someone opening the grave are true and the grotesqueries are awakened, it could bring great suffering to the Imperial City. General Akaido asks who might have broken the seal and what their purpose could be. While they discuss this, they run into Kazushi, and the three of them visit Highness Takahito to talk about the situation. Kazushi introduces himself as the new head of the Tatsuishi family and apologizes for his father's actions. He mentions that the Kudo family will help restore his family's honor and trust. Takahito forgives Kazushi's family on his father's behalf and asks Kazushi to live up to his words. Takahito shares his revelation with Akaido, Kazushi, and Kyoka and promises to inform them if he learns anything else. He also mentions that things might get difficult for him and Mio soon, but expresses confidence that they will be okay. Meanwhile, Hazuki is helping Mio with her training to become a proper lady, teaching her things like smiling and walking in a dress. Kyoka, on the other hand, is thinking about what Takahito knows about their fate and remembers the words of the mysterious gentleman regarding Mio's mother and the Yusuba family. He wonders if Mio's nightmares are somehow connected to this family. Kyoka leaves the special anti-grotesquerie unit HQ early, and Hazuki continues Mio's training. Hazuki asks Mio to drop the formal titles when addressing her, as she wants Mio to feel comfortable relying on her since they will become family soon. Hazuki leaves, and Mio reflects on the concept of family. At the same time, Kyoka talks to an investigator and asks him to find information about the Yusuba family, especially Sumi Yusuba. The investigator reports that there are only rumors about them so far. After more training sessions with Hazuki, she asks Mio about Kyoka and why he has been coming home late recently. Mio explains that he's been busy with work, and she wants to work hard on her proper lady training as well. An envoy from the Ministry of the Imperial Household named Arata Tsuruki arrives at the Special Anti-Grotesquerie Unit HQ. He explains that the Ministry is urgently trying to retrieve the grotesqueries since the grave has been opened. While they don't know who is responsible, they found many suspicious men near the site of the incident. Kyoka agrees to assist the Ministry, and Arata will be his point of contact for further operations. Kyoka, Yoshido, and others visit the grave and find some of the men from the site. They also discuss the situation with one of the men they retrieve who was affected by a curse. Kazushi explains that he can remove curses from living beings but not from the deceased. Hokkaido asks him to do his best. While they are there, Kyoka's group encounters grotesqueries and Kyoka battles them. Meanwhile, Mio has a nightmare about being surrounded by these grotesqueries, but awakens as Kyoka fights them off. We then see Arata, who seems to be the protector of the awakening that is about to occur. After Kyoka and his group survive the encounter with the grotesqueries, we cut to Mio, Yuri, and Hazuki traveling through town in the morning. Hazuki notices that Mio looks pale and Mio collapses. However, just before hitting the ground, she believes that Kyoka saves her. Mio's savior, Arata, introduces himself to her.